in a handbasket.
Well, he's breaking the law, ain't he? So they ought to catch that freak and lock him up.
I won't say it's gonna be easy, but catching criminals is what we do. So this one dresses up like Dracula, so what? We're gonna take him down. What do we know about this Batman?
He's been beating the tar out of muggers and dope peddlers out there the last few weeks.
He's mostly been seen at night driving that hot rod of his 100 miles an hour.
And now he's even attacking our brave police.
Nice car.
This man is not a hero, he's a criminal. And his time in Gotham is up.
Mischief afoot, sir?
3 explosions in 2 weeks. Peculiar. There's something more going on here.
And what indeed is going on? Who is behind the crime in Gotham? Can the one and only Batman stop it? Hello everybody. Welcome to DC Afternoon. I stayed up 2 in the morning until about 6, and I watched every episode of the new Batman the Caped Crusader. I am super ass tired, so I'm going to break down all of the episodes. But first, give you my non-spoiler thoughts on this, as to not ruin this, because literally this came out 2 o'clock in the morning. I should know. I was up watching every episode. I actually took notes. Holy shit, I'm tired. Okay, so, yeah. So here are my notes. This is all of my notes from my watch along yesterday. I get. Good thing is that as I got into the show, I took less notes, which is good for the show. But I do have some complaints, some things I do have to share. Certain choices they make with characters I was not very happy about. One choice in particular made no sense to me whatsoever. But so what is the Caped Crusader, the Batman, about? This is a 40s inspired Batman. It was supposed to be on Cartoon Network and HBO Max, but Warner Bros. Decided to put it on Amazon Prime, and I actually kind of like the decision because of the content in this is surprisingly violent. And I don't mean in hey, what's up, Christine? I don't mean in a invincible type way. But this is definitely Batman 92 with the edge a little bit sharper than the original Batman, the animated series. It's by the same people. So I'm going to go over who's in this. And the cast list is fucking huge. But this is written by Mark Berendini and Ed Burback. It's composed by Frederick Weidman, who is actually the composer of Batman, the animated series. The producers or executive producers on this are J.J. Abrams, Ed Brubaker, Matt Reeves, and of course Bruce Timm. The co-producer is James Tucker. And now the voiced cast. This is going to take me a while. I try to keep this an hour, but this might go a little bit over because really for me to tell you how I exactly feel about the show, I've really got to get in depth. But I'll just go over the cast list first. I'll give you guys my general thoughts, and then I'll give you spoilers after. What's up, Pop Cotton? So the voice cast in this is Hamish Lancaster, Didris Batter, Christine Joy Brown, Jamie Chung, Minnie Driver. Haven't seen her in forever. But not crazy about who she voices, and I'll get to that. Christina Ricci, Eric Morgan Stewart, Jason Wilkins, Dan Danaho, Tom Kenny, Toby Stevens. If you don't know, he was in one of my favorite shows of all time from it was a pirate show. What was it called? Black Flag. It was one of my favorite shows. Really good in this show. Reed Scott, um, Haley Joel Osment is actually surprising the character he is in this show. John DiMaggio and Cedric Ehrlich, and there is like some other cast in here that isn't mentioned. There is a cameo from Papa Midnight, which Constantine is one of my favorite comics and one of my favorite characters of all time in the DC universe. Probably also in the Marvel universe. He's just my favorite character. Um, but Batman the Caped Crusader, my non-spoiler thoughts. So I took notes, as you guys can see. These are all my notes. I graded episode by episode. I wrote down the things that bugged me. I will say, as I got into the series, I obviously have less as I go to the end of the show. But the beginning of the show, very confusing choices. God, I hate throwing in politics and shit, and say that, about woke shit, because Batman the Animated Series has always been like that. People are too nostalgia heavy. Batman the Animated Series was fucking highly political. Go back and watch some of those episodes. But this, they did some character swaps that felt like they did it just for the sake of doing it. It does not add to the story whatsoever. In particular, the first episode, I did not like. I liked. See, I can't say I didn't like, and I got my notes. When I get into spoilers, I'll break down more in more intricate detail. But I was very nervous, let's just say. But then the series went on, and you get to the next episode, and it's like, holy shit. Okay, so the first episode was a really poor representation, and I felt like they should have probably switched that to the back end or one of the middle episodes. So, short synopsis: the Batman the Caped Crusader is a return to the villain of the week. However, there is a major story that runs through the center of the show. And actually, it is pretty featured throughout most of the episodes. So I think the show does a great blend of mixing in what the main, like, whole point of this season is with the villain of the week, so to speak. So it's like the best of both worlds. I think they did an excellent job with the consistent overall storyline. It's really the villain of the week where the stories varied greatly for me in the show. The voice acting are top notch. There's a lot of fucking modern bullshit, but for the most part, uh, it it the characters they do switch, the actors do a good job, and it feels like the character. So it confuses me on why you want to change the different looks. I give them a pass because this is an Elseworlds thing, and we all know in the Elseworlds there's a lot of different variations for all of the characters. Uh, there was some story stuff I'll get into that I wasn't particularly crazy about, but overall, the last two episodes were the best episodes I've seen in an animated series like this they were so fucking good. And I'll get into that when I do the spoilers. But overall, my total score on this is going to be a solid 7.5 out of 10, mainly because of the way my scoring is, and I'll give you my each individual score. Out of 10 episodes, there were a couple of sevens, 1 6, uh, 2 9s, 3 8s, and then the last two episodes were solid 10s. So actually, I'd say it's more of an 8 out of 10. This is a solid show. I enjoyed it. Um, I thought it was fine. I didn't like some of the character changes, and if you're interested in seeing it, that's my brief thoughts on Batman: The Caped Crusader. And I'm going to get into spoilers and break down every episode to thoroughly explain my thoughts on this. So buckle up. This might be a little bit of a longer DC afternoon, but if you don't want spoilers, then probably click off. But if you don't give a shit or you want to know specifically what I'm talking about, then here we go. So, what is the breakdown for the Batman Caped Crusader? Basically, this is year one of Bruce Wayne, and I mean literally a couple weeks into being Batman. He has literally just became Batman. Uh, this is even before Robert Pattinson Batman. Like, I mean, he's only had the cape for a few weeks. Um, and this Batman is an asshole, and they don't write him intentionally like an asshole to try to character assassinate him. It's more of he is just starting to get his way of doing things down, where there's a lot of times he fucking does shit brutal. And I wrote this down. So first off, I want to talk about the big thing that's on the internet, and I want to get it out of the way and kind of show a clip of the biggest controversy. And I think it's fucking stupid, but of course I got to talk about it because people say it kills the entire show, and I thoroughly disagree. Um, there's a thing with the Penguin. The Penguin is the gender changed character I was talking about. Um, to be honest, I have no clue why they gender swapped this character, because at the end of the day, Minnie Driver voices Penguin, and I thought she did a tremendous job. Um, and I thought that the writing for the character was a little bit weaker. But let me go to. I'm gonna share a clip here. So hold on. So this is the new Penguin, voiced by Minnie.
Okay, boys, let's load it up.
And this is a battle between them.
Well, there really is a Batman. Iggy.
So this is like I'm kind of skipping through because I don't want to get copyright.
Okay, Dracula, you asked for it.
So that's kind of the big thing. And look, that was one of the things in the first episode. I do not understand the character swap whatsoever. I have no clue. And that is actually my first point. The second point is the intro, I'm not too crazy about. Um, it's maybe I'm used to the 90s cartoon. Um, the rest of the music is solid. Liked it. But the intro itself doesn't have that same hit that it did for me for the 90s cartoon. That being said, um, I have to say the things that I did like about the first episode that I was intrigued with. Barbara Gordon is a district attorney in this. What's up, Lemon Pie? I'm just giving a breakdown of the Caped Crusader, so gonna be a couple of spoilers. Um, unless you're interested in watching it, it's on Amazon. I stayed up from 2 until 6 to watch the whole entire show, so I'm giving my thoughts and my ideas. So just to kind of backtrack, um, the first episode was my biggest complaint. I gave the first episode a 6 out of 10. They gender swapped the Penguin. Not a real big fan of that. Minnie Driver does a great voice now. Um, and I put this in my note. I was not crazy about the intro. Alfred is fat. I have here. They did more of a Bronze Age Alfred, so he's not skinny Alfred. He's a bigger Alfred, and that's actually from the really old school comics. So that's all right. That's whatever. Different take. Harvey Dent is in this. There's a through line with him. I'll get more into his story. Uh, So I wrote down Batman uses a human shield. Yeah. So in my notes here, this Batman is more vicious. He so this is early in his career. He literally breaks somebody's arm, and he's in a warehouse, and then he like switches in front of them and uses them as a human shield to protect himself from bullets. This Batman does not give a shit really about um he doesn't kill people per se, but he doesn't care if somebody gets hurt incidentally. Uh, and it's really hilarious. There is a part in this where he dangles. I believe it was I want to say it was Bullock, but he dangles him um in front of a moving train. So that was pretty good. There was swearing. I was actually shocked. There were some words that were dropped, and so that caught me by surprise. I mean, nothing like the F word or something like that, but there's like there was like a little bit of that, a little bit of that edgy. If you're a teen and you watch this, she's like, oh, they said that kind of a thing. Threw me by surprise. Overall, I give this episode a 6 out of 10. As I said, it was okay. I did not like the gender swap of Penguin. I don't understand why they did that. It adds nothing to the story. Essentially, it's the same Penguin, and that's the thing with this. There's going to be people complaining. Um, and for me, where this makes no sense is the fact that the character is close to the male counterpart. So I don't understand why they're swapping. It was really odd choice. Um, and Bitchy even came in at certain points and quoted how weird it was. It was just a weird choice. So episode 2 was called "The Murderer Inside of Me," and this was a really good episode. So this is the introduction of Montoya. Lucius Fox is a lawyer in this. Kind of iffy on how I feel about that. I'd have to see more into further seasons. Um, and I put actually murder people in this. Yeah, this show actually kills people, and I don't mean like they do the whole it's a cartoon kind of a thing. People will get like actually stabbed. There's blood. It's not like it's not like invincible, over the top kind of thing. It reminds me more of X-Men '97, where they actually kill people in that show. Now people actually get there's visceral fights in that. It's kind of like that for me. This show actually murders people, and there's actual blood and things, so it raises the stakes and makes it feel like people can actually die. This was an episode that I liked a lot. My only issue is at this point I was still not particularly sure about Montoya. I'll get to Montoya. She's fine. Montoya is voiced by shit. What is her name? Wow. I forgot who voices her, and I can't find her on the cast list. Keep in mind too, I have been up since 2 in the morning. I watched this whole thing. Here we go. Michelle C. Bonella. Montoya is fine. She's good. I don't have too many issues. I will get to a gripe I have with this character, and it plays into another character. But for her introduction, this really and this shocked me between episodes because I gave the first episode a 6. This one's an 8. I like I said, I'm just giving a breakdown, but I don't want to spoil everything. So when you watch the show, you do have some surprises, but I will say the direction they go with Clayface, I like. It's also kind of a throwback to what the original Clayface was. It was a great little nod to the original Clayface. So, 8 out of 10, solid episode. This is probably one of my favorite episodes. It's called Lies of the Catwoman, and Catwoman is spectacularly done. Spot on. The suit is a callback to the old 40s comic and the old style. So the voice of Catwoman in this is Christina Ricci, and she fucking does a great job. No problems with Catwoman. Knock it out of the park. It is one of my favorite episodes. Catwoman in the show retains 90% of who she is. She's very um, flirtatious and playful. She's clever. I love the angle they take on this, and like I said, I'm not spoiling everything here. There is some light spoilers, and basically, instead of Selena Kyle being poor and working her way up, they kind of do this storyline in reverse. She's actually rich, and slowly over time, she loses her money. There's a funny little twist at the end. The overall episode is great. Also, there is a theme of police corruption in here. I wrote down in my notes. Um, they also introduce Harley Quinn. Not a big fan of the design of Harley or the character design of Harley when she's not Harley Quinn Juster esque. You'll understand that when you watch the show. So there's two. Let me put it this way: there's two designs for Harley Quinn. One is Harley Quinn, the psychiatrist. The other is what she's doing on the side, and I'll get to that. I am not a fan of what they did with her character. I do not like the design whatsoever. I don't know what it is. It's just not a very good design. Not a very good design to me. Uh, Now, with that being said, Jamie Chung does a great job with the character. Um, and I know they were trying to get away from the previous look of the character. Um, I so I'm really torn because not only that, where they go with the character development for Harley Quinn, and I'll get to that because I was not really happy with that as well, and I got some notes on that, and I even put it in here. I do not like the character design, so the character design was pretty terrible. It was just um, not a big fan, not a big fan. So um, yeah, I think my only other complaint on this one, let me see, fourth. Oh yeah, uh, I believe Bruce Wayne has to. This was another of like I said, one of my favorite episodes. So Catwoman was good. I wasn't crazy when they introduced the Harley Quinn design. Um, I gotta say the episode itself was pretty good. And so when I say I don't like the character design, I don't like the way she's drawn when she's Harley Quinn, the psychiatrist, but the actress nails her. They do the character in reverse in this iteration. So she is very much playful and kind of whimsical when she's in therapy, where she gets more stern and serious in the costume. So it's an interesting switch. Not in an unprofessional way, but more in the way you would remember Harley Quinn being. But she's not a main character. She's just introduced in this episode. uh, Batman has to actually go to therapy because he punches somebody in the face who says something about his mom, which is actually fucking hilarious. Um, and like I said, there's a lot of character depth behind Bruce Wayne himself throughout this series. I heard some fucking idiots saying this was the Barbara Gordon show. That's totally false, and they were comparing it to Tila and He-Man. I fucking hate when people do this just because Barbara Gordon's in a good majority of the show. That's not true. Batman's in every episode. I heard them say they come out. That's bullshit. I watched this until 6 in the morning. He's in every episode. Now they do character focused stories on certain characters. They always did that in Batman the Animated Series. There was literally a whole episode, I believe, told from the perspective of the Toy Man or something like that. So I hate when people do reviews like that where they're like, "Oh, it's the Barbara Gordon shit." I'm like, no, shut the fuck up. I watched it. Yes, there are a lot of modern political shit in here, and I did write down notes for that. But um, episode 3 was solid. I gave it a 9 out of 10. It had a good thing with police corruption in it, not too overdone, and valid for the Batman universe. Gotham's fucking corrupt, so them having an arc about police corruption actually fucking makes sense. And that's a running theme in the show. The mayor, the district attorneys, and the cops are corrupt as shit. But that has always been the story of Batman. That is why literally Batman exists. So that's the through line, and there's a villain in here called Thorn, and he's sort of the main antagonist who comes into focus later, like the through line in the episodes. And so it's Harvey Dent running for the, the district attorney office or head DA, and then it's Thorn, and there is a war between the families trying to take over Gotham. And Batman actually helped Thorn, and it's brought up in the first episode when he took out the Penguin. So it's now people are going trying to take over. And what's up, Hunter? Says Zod, who would you cast as Wonder Woman for DCU? Be honest with you, I'm not particularly um sure at this point right now. Um, I would probably actually, and this is going to be a hot take, probably Sweeney Todd. Uh, she's actually on a bit of a hot streak. She can act, based on me seeing Immaculate. I would like to, and she's sexy, of course. So I would like to see what she would bring to that role. And I think she needs a redemption arc from fucking Madam Web. That movie was so terrible. I feel bad because I feel like she might have been one of the actors who was actually trying in that movie. But yeah, that's my hot take pick. I know it's kind of crazy, but that's where I'd go with it. So, anyways, episode 3 was decent. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Um, it was one of the episodes where my only gripes was with the design of Harley Quinn. I kind of settled into it, but I'm going to just say I don't like the character design, not so much the costume and the actress and how she's portraying Harley. I think, and this is the weird thing. Some of the character designs and choices in this show kind of struck me as odd, where the actors are really playing the character and the essence of the characters. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't give a shit if something is race swapped or gender swapped or whatever. My biggest issue is, do you do the character justice? My issue with Penguin is because they used Oswald Cobblepot and they gender swapped to a woman. It's a very strange choice. It doesn't make any sense to me because Minnie Driver plays the character exactly like Oswald Cobblepot. So I don't understand that swap. Um, but with this, it's fine. They race swap Barbara Gordon and Commissioner Gordon. I'm fine with it. That was in actually the Batman, Commissioner Gordon, is played by an amazing actor. And so when they did that swap here, and being that Matt Reeves is working on it, I want to say it's maybe loosely connected to the Batman. I have no clue. Or it's very much got the feel that he brought to the movies. So I have no issues with them race swapping that way. And plus, if Jim is, black and his wife is white, then they'd have a half black, half white kid. So that makes sense to switch Barbara. She still very much has the essence of Barbara Gordon. Actually, I think Barbara Gordon was one of the most developed characters in this. And Commissioner Gordon, not so much. I'd like to see actually Gordon get more development. He's very much, most of his relationship with Batman is more Barbara forms that bond with Batman as opposed to Gordon. Um, I mean, they start to get that bond towards the end of the season, but it was really weird, and that's what I'm saying. What bothers me about this show is more of the choices and decisions that the show makes um, early on, and I don't know if it's for the focus of diversity or whatever. But as I said, still 9 out of 10 episode. This is one of my favorite episodes. So episode 4 is Night of the Hunters, and there was an argument about TVs. There was a critic who said this is supposed to be 40s inspired, and it, would everybody have a TV? Blah blah blah, because they start with a TV interview. I looked it up and I have it in my notes. Um, TVs actually did exist. Only a few thousand people had them, and by 1954, it was a 12 million. So there were TVs. This was a stupid argument. It's fucking Batman. But I just wanted to disprove that. I found it a very weird point to argue. But anyways, so this one is where we dive into more police corruption, and we get a unique character, Firefly. Um, this is probably one of my favorite rendition or favorite villain of the week. This was the first time they showed on this show. They fucking kill people, and they not only kill people, but they actually show the action of it happening. And I'll explain to the ending. So basically, a mandate goes out on the Batman. Um, he gets he's been spotted, and so in a political move, the mayor wants to catch Batman as a way to beat Harvey Dent. Harvey Dent is starting to win in the polls, and so he puts a task force together to catch the Batman. And Montoya is the lead of the task force, and it is vastly it's very intriguing. And also too, there's a message about police and police or women, female officers in a male-dominated field. Um, and I'll give this one a pass because they do weave it into the story, and it kind of plays into the overarching narrative, so it's not annoying per se. So it was all right. But they do um these things where they set traps for Batman. Once again, this bordering on high marks for me. I like them trying to trap the Batman and realizing he's too smart. They literally fake muggings and robberies. I was laughing my ass off to try to trap him, and he keeps on like just skating by. There's one where they fake a like mob attack, and he hangs the cops upside down, and you see the badges dropped out, and the dude like yells like, "Hey, you gonna cut him down?" And he just fucking leaves them. So that was a funny little thing. Uh, then the Bullock and Flask, which by the way I forgot to mention, Flask is race swapped, no reason, and I think it's kind of insulting. I don't know what the implication is. I will leave it at that. By race swapping the most scumbaggy of the corrupt cops, I don't know. That was a little bit of a weird choice, but anyways, sidebar. Um, so Flask and Bullock decide to release a fucking Arkham mental patient to actually draw out Batman because Harley Quinn again makes a guest appearance, and I really do like how they use Harley Quinn. Before they get to her episode, they sprinkle her through the various episodes. I gotta say, like I said, the character of Harley Quinn isn't bad. It's the character design and the way they make her look I'm not crazy about. But for the most part, the characteristics of who she is great. She actually works up a profile for the police on the Batman and pretty much fucking nails like Bruce's profile without knowing who the person is. It's hilarious. She's like, this person is broken. They seek justice for others for some dramatic experience. Like, she fucking just names them all these cops. Nice scene. Very well done. Um, and Firefly is a very unique. Why I give this episode high marks is because Firefly is a unique villain that I never see them really use except for in the Batman animated series once. And so they dive into his psychology, and there is a cool scene, and visually it's a great scene. But he puts on his goggles, and like you see people running and playing, but when he puts on the goggles for his suit, he just sees everything on fire. He sees like children running around on fire and shit like that. Very creative, very unique. Really like the visual aesthetics that kind of connect to the character. So, very fascinating. Anyways, Harvey and Flask, or Harvey and Flask, set up basically Firefly to be a patsy, to trap the Batman. The Batman gets there. uh, they fucking are responsible for burning down a building essentially and getting all of these tenants. And I'm sure there's commentary in there about the wealthy and all that stuff, but it does work in this episode. And they basically set up this guy to take the fall for them letting him go so they can't let him leave. And in one of the most shocking things, they fucking shoot him, and they show him being shot and falling out of a building into a car. Did not see that coming. Very graphic. They do a good job in this show of, I think the violence is a bit more shocking when it happens because they do show blood and things like that and people getting stabbed with knives, but they're not as visceral with it, but the way that they film it is like, oh damn. I also want to say the sound design is amazing. You hear bones break and things like that. So kudos to the sound team. But yeah, solid episode. 8 out of 10. Episode 5 is the stress of her regard. This is the Harley Quinn focused episode. A lot of conflicting feelings on this episode. So don't like Harley's design, and they swap Harley. So basically throughout Harley Quinn's run, it's always been hinted at she is a lesbian. She plays on the other side. This is nothing new, so I'm not really going to focus on that. Don't give a shit. I care about how the character is. Um, there is a little scene with her and Montoya. It's whatever. There is a great cop takedown, so the task force is in full effect of capturing the Batman. There is a very awesome scene where they trap him in this. He finds this like secret room, and he's doing his Batman detective work, and they throw in a smoke bomb, and Batman uses gas, so it's alluded to he can hold his breath. So they throw in the smoke grenade, and he fucking throws it back out. He uses the mist from the grenade to take down like I don't know 10 officers, and he purposely leaves Bullock and Flask standing. He just takes out all the other officers and then goes. Kind of a little fuck you to them. I liked it. He's kind of figuring out they're corrupt as shit. It's a good nod to some of the things from the original Batman. Um, Harley's design. So, Harley Quinn works in reverse. Instead of the giddy tone she had in the 92 animated show, in this one, she is more monotone when she is Harley Quinn. She's actually quite scary. Um, like it. It was very interesting. The other thing is the Joker is not in this world. I will get to the setup for him later and where I think he's going to fit into season 2. But as far as season 1, there's no Joker. I think this is good for 2 reasons. One, we don't always need the Joker to set up every plot line. 2, this really gives you a chance to focus on other characters because everybody's gonna be focused on the Joker. Um, and I've got to say, I dug what they did with Harley Quinn. Um, she is basically programming her rich clients to give away their wealth and then doing some fucked up torture to them. So this episode has lots of torture in it. I also did notice Barbara Gordon does have a lot of screen time dedicated to her character. I'm gathering because at some point they're going to turn her into um, Batgirl. Um, so, there's some character development here. I do understand why they focus on her in this episode. Her, Harley Quinn, and Montoya are all like girl pals, and Montoya's love interest. Uh, So, Batman figures it out. She actually doesn't want to kill Batman in this. They're both kind of vigilantes, only she's super extreme. Um, and then it's hinted to that she might die. Of course, that's a fake out. And she winds up living. So, not a bad episode. I gave it a 7 out of 10. The next one is Night Ride. This is more character development for Harvey Dent. The mob is trying to get him to take money so they can buy him. Good character development for Harvey. James is J- uh, supernatural elements, so there is a supernatural element to this episode, and they introduce a John Constantine character in here, Papa Midnight. It was kind of cool seeing Papa Midnight as a character being brought into Batman because John Constantine shows up quite a bit. I never really see storylines with Papa Midnight, so interesting little take. It was okay. Heavily focused on racism from back in the day. I've no clue what the message was supposed to be there, and this is what I mean by modern politics in this show. A little weird, and I wasn't particularly feeling this episode because like it does expose the corruption of Gotham, their feelings about the rich to the poor, but uh, they have Toby Stephen in this episode voicing Krennic, who is the ghost essentially, and I or yeah, James Krennic. He's the gentleman ghost, and Toby Stevens does a great job. The issue I have is the character is kind of whatever. He's an allegory for extreme racism. He has some kind of beef with Papa Midnight, and he gets his soul trapped. There's a bit of character development between Alfred and Batman. Batman's kind of a dick through most of this series, and in particular, he's very antagonistic with Alfred. So this kind of builds out their character. It was all right. 7 out of 10. Episode 7 is called Moving Target. This is a episode with Onomatopoeia, who is a deep cut. He's a very unique character to the Batman lore. And he doesn't talk. He's kind of a side character that never ever gets use at whatsoever. Very interesting character to pick. So basically, there is a hit on Jim Gordon. They try to assassinate him, and so Jim is sick and tired. He's working with the police. At this point in the show, he's gotten pulled from being the head of the Batman Task Force. Bullock and Fisk are put in charge, and so they send assassins to kill Gordon. Pretty solid episode. Overall, I would say there is a good plot twist in this episode, and the ending in particular was what brought this one up for me. A very solid ending. I did not see the plot twist coming. Overall, solid episode. Once again, it fleshes out the relationship between Jim Gordon, Montoya, and his daughter Barbara, and just very solid writing in this episode. Overall, not too bad. I give this an 8 out of 10. There is some pretty cool fun to be had with this episode. So episode 8 is called Nocturnal. This is another supernatural episode. I'd have to say I was kind of on the fence. So first off, they changed Dr. Tompkins' character as well in this. This change was fine, very comic book accurate. It's a very older Dr. Tompkins who she actually runs an orphanage that Bruce grew up in. And the premise is that there is a carnival that comes into town, and the kids of Gotham are going missing. Very heavy themes. There's children kidnapped, and the gist is that there's this girl who has this ability where she's basically sucking the youth out of the kids, and I think it's their take on a vampire. She can't be out in the sunlight, that kind of deal. Um, Harvey actually is compromised in this episode. He takes money from Thorne. This kind of moves that plot along. His campaign's not doing well. He's doing this as a publicity stunt, and this kind of starts to build out Harvey's character that we've seen. He is conflicted and has two sides warring with each other. Sound familiar? So he finally, after losing a bunch, takes the money from the mob, which is kind of setting up for the final 2 episodes of the show. And there is a Dark Knight Easter egg here, and I mean the Dark Knight from Frank Miller. They introduced Carrie in this. If you guys know, Carrie is one of the Robins for Batman in the future. Cary Grant or something like that, I believe is her name. It was fun. The actress was good. She was spunky, very much encapsulating that character. She actually has a moment to help the Batman out. It was a cute little thing. I've seen other Batman episodes in the 90s where they did this, where Batman's trying to save some kids. He gets distracted and the kid helps him out. She flings a rock and he's trying to reach Nocturne, and she's a kid herself. And so I'm not going to give away all of the stuff for it. Like I said, this is just a general synopsis. So it was fine. Nice little side quest. It does flesh out the main story and what's going to happen in the last 2 episodes. So 8 out of 10. Solid episode. Um, so the final 2 episodes kind of go together. And there is the first part, which is the killer inside of me. This I have very few notes on because this is a fantastic episode. This is kind of the quality I'm hoping from now on the show is going to go into. Um, there's great character building. This is a Harvey Dent centric episode. So Harvey in the previous episode took money from the mob, and he's supposed to let this guy go who has laundered money and basically stole money from older retirees. And at the last minute, Harvey is faced with a choice of freeing this guy who's a complete scumbag or prosecuting him. Harvey makes the right decision, needless to say, and he sends him to prison. Goes into the bathroom, and as per the classic Batman story, this dude throws acid in Harvey's face. The character of Two-Face is less of a split personality in this. It's kind of more his own psyche kind of thing. He still has the coin and everything else. Excellent. This actor who plays Two-Face is phenomenal. The voice acting is great. The character development has been there since the first episode. He's kind of one of the main characters. He's played by uh, Dentrix Bader. Great episode. I give this episode a perfect 10. This was kind of what I hoped the most of the series would be. Um, so Zod, what is your thoughts on people on YouTube who want to ship Superman with Wonder Woman? Makes sense. I've seen a couple of Elseworld stories where Superman actually is with Wonder Woman. There is some storylines too before he gets with Lois where he does have a relationship with Diana. Not entirely out of the realm of possibilities. Be honest with you, I never really cared about Superman ended up with Lois. I kind of always hated Lois as a character. She seems to hinder Superman more than help him. I think, honestly, Wonder Woman's a better match. I think most people canonically uh, accept the Lois and Superman connection. Uh, you know, I think it's fun to do that stuff with characters. I don't have a real big issue with it. I think that comes down to people have always done that in comic stories when particular characters work well. I do know there's Injustice storyline after Lewis gets killed by the Joker, where Wonder Woman and Superman do wind up getting together, so and kind of become ruling dictators. So for me, it doesn't really bother me that much. I think in the main. Sorry about that, tech issues. I do think in the main canon, they should keep the Superman and Lois thing. It just makes more sense to Superman's character. So that's my overall thoughts. So The Killer Inside of Me was a great episode, great character building. I really enjoyed it. 10 out of 10. And the final episode is Savage Night Part 2 to the Harvey Dent story. So at the end of part 1, basically Harvey Dent goes on a killing spree and kills a massive amounts of people. I mean, in a brutal way. There's literally a scene where he finds the person who throws acid on him, and he uh, kills everybody in the room, and then ties the dude to a chair, and while he's still alive, sets him and everybody else on fire. Great scene, really great action. In part 2, they catch Harvey Dent, and he realizes he needs help, and so Batman and Barbara Gordon try to reach Harvey. Barbara and Harvey have an antagonistic relationship. In this version, Barbara is uh, put in a position to represent Harvey Dent. So they build this kind of relationship, and Harvey doesn't want to cut any deals. He sees himself as a monster. He goes into these rages that are kind of split, where he uh, goes off and gets angry and then like says some fucked up shit to people. Um, and so in part two, they are trying to get him out of jail. The mob puts a hit out on Harvey because at the end of part one, he actually goes to the head antagonist of the show, and he goes into his house. He kills a bunch of people and almost shoots him and his kid. Great fucking scene. And Batman stops him. And so the end of that episode, in the next episode, they put a hit out on him and they try to get him at the transport. Um, and a chase ensues. And this is just a great setup, great character development for Barbara Gordon and Harvey Dent. And Harvey winds up having the transport flipped over or whatever, but Barbara is following the car. They wanted to make it look like an escape and kill him. Bullock and Flash go full corrupt cops by this episode. They've only done certain corrupt things. This is where they fully commit to the bit. And they try to take him, and the car gets overturned by Harvey. Great Two-Face. This guy does a great job. Basically tricks them into being distracted, flips over the car. Barbara saves him. They wind up calling for the police, and Batman actually gives Barbara his number to contact him should she need help. And so she contacts Batman. Of course, all of the people are converging. There's a great finale with a shootout scene in a warehouse, and Barbara and Two-Face are handcuffed together because she didn't want him to do something crazy. So he winds up being handcuffed to her, and Commissioner Gordon and Montoya wind up converging on this warehouse, and they have a big shootout, and Two-Face winds up getting winged, and he got shot in his side. There's a blood trail, and they're following it, and Bullock and uh, Flask actually wind up following the trail, and Barbara and Harvey are going to escape. They get to the car. Bullock goes to shoot him, and Gordon comes from the side and is like, "Don't even think about it." Great fucking scene. And then Flask is on the other end and steps out of the shadows. He goes to shoot Barbara, and actually Two-Face gets in front of the bullet. And this was a great scene where Harvey like drops. Bullock or Flask is about to shoot um Barbara because she knows that he's corrupt, and Batman throws a batarang into Flask's hand, and he drops the gun, and then he picks up the gun, and I was like, oh shit, Batman's gonna fucking shoot someone because it's his best friend. He kind of pushed Harvey into becoming Two-Face, which is an ongoing theme of Batman, using excessive violence, and he takes the gun and you hear gunshots, and the way it's edited is actually pretty good, like the editing. And he just wind up shooting around Flask, and he takes the gun and throws it into the river, and then beats the shit out of Flask. And Gordon's like, "You better be gone," by the time the police get here. But basically, I assume Flask and Bullock are going to finally be arrested because they're caught dead to rights. Harvey Dent dies. Very fucking interesting choice. Did not see that coming. And it's a good redemption arc because this season mainly focused on Harvey and Batman, their relationship, um, his conflict between his two sides. I wish they would have got a little bit deeper into the conflict that Harvey Dent was having. I would have liked to see him as Two-Face, maybe one more episode just to flesh it out a bit more, show him doing a little bit more crazy stuff. But all in all, it was a good character arc, and I couldn't believe that they actually killed him off. He's dead. So that was pretty good. Zod, should the voice actor of the new Batman series try to get casted for the new Batman movie or stay in voice acting? He doesn't have. I've seen the voice caster's look. He doesn't have a Batman look. I think he'll be fine as Batman. I'll get to the voice acting in a bit, but he doesn't look like Batman at all. Um, he's very much like Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy had the voice, but as far as the physique and the stature, he really doesn't fit the Batman kind of profile. But to answer your question, I think he is fine as the voice of Batman. Very a little bit of a different performance than Kevin Conroy, but definitely good for what the show requires. So at the end, Harvey dies, and then they pan out, and finally, you see people strapped to a chair. They are uh, laughing to death. They got that grimace look, and you see a shadowy figure. And the way they do lighting, most of their face is in the dark, but you could see their eyes and this half of their face. And they go, that'll work excellently. And it is the Joker. So the Joker is teased for season 2. Um, and I like the fact that they kept the Joker out of the entire run of the show, and they kind of didn't depend on that because everybody is curious about the Joker. I didn't hear his laugh. Um, this version of the Joker has more of a deeper voice, kind of threw me off. I'd have to hear more of the performance, so a little bit interested. But yes, the Joker is teased at the end of the show. He's using the classic laughing serum, and he is more vicious. So the setup for the Joker is there's a cargo crate that he's in, and there's tons of people strapped into the crate, and they're all literally have laughed to death, and it's a very gruesome looking scene. I was actually pretty shocked. Although I shouldn't be, like at this point, they've killed a lot of people. There's been a lot of deaths, so it was pretty cool seeing that they are going to go for a more hardcore version of the Joker. This is obviously going to be a Joker who kills people purely for amusement. Looks like he was experimenting to get his laughing gas formula correct. And so, very cool teaser. Does make me excited. These last 2 episodes are 10 out of 10. All in all, this series I give an 8 out of 10. I think that it is a solid start to the show. I hope that in the next season they do less gender swapping of characters. There's really no point. It doesn't add anything to the show and it doesn't take anything away. It's just very obvious just to do it. It's like not for the sake of the character or for the sake of the story they're telling. It's clearly just swapping things just to swap it. I remember seeing an interview saying they wanted to make the characters very distinct from each other. Um, so like I get it, and this is going for a 40s aesthetic, so this is probably an Elseworld story. But I'm not too crazy. I thought the Penguin was the worst design. Clearly, they're going to bring the Penguin back. The Penguin does get arrested. A couple of the villains do either get arrested or escape. Like Harley Quinn escaped. Penguin got arrested. Clayface got arrested. The Ghost got exorcised and was taken by Papa Midnight. So I don't know about that. That's supernatural. Batman helped Nocturne. So some of the villains have potential to come back, and then they very oddly killed Two-Face off. So I'm not particularly sure where they're going with that. And Onomatopoeia was arrested. Catwoman was arrested, so obviously they're going to bring those back. Harvey Bullock and Flask were not arrested. They didn't show what happened to them, so I'm going to assume they're going to play a part in the next season. And the overarching villain, Thorn, was not arrested. There is a cool scene. He wind up being the reason Harvey ultimately got killed, and it does end in classic Batman 90s fashion. He throws a fucking batarang in the middle of Thorne's room, and like it cuts across his ear, and then you see Batman on a rooftop, lightning in the background, kind of like his message that he's coming for him. So very Batman-esque. All in all, the series is a good series. My main complaints is just certain changes didn't really make sense to me, and I think that they didn't help or hurt the story. So I, for the life of me, can't figure out why the changes were even implemented, and it makes me feel like it was more just to score points as opposed to actual character development. Barbara Gordon was fine. Commissioner Gordon was fine. Montoya, I'm still 50-50 about. She's okay. She's a typical, I gotta prove something, just became a detective, that kind of deal. She's alright. She serves the story. Batman, very great. Good characterization. He does have an arc. I do like how he starts out as beating the shit out of people and really, like, seriously, probably if he didn't kill, he definitely, like, injured gravely a lot of people in this show. Excellent rendition of Two-Face. Kind of disappointed they killed him off. I don't see, like, them being able to bring him back. He's pretty dead. So, very interesting choice to take him out of the show. Maybe he didn't die. I don't know. But the actor who played Harvey Dent, he was by far and away the best part of the show. And he had a very good, well developed character arc. 10 episodes is perfect. I'm glad it's not 20 episodes. You don't need 20 episode run for anything really. 10 episodes really let the story breathe, and they did a good job with the main plot and the side quests, I like to call them. They fleshed out the world and the themes of Batman doing what he does, and police corruption in Gotham City. And there's a great in the line where Alfred says, "You finally made friends and you're changing," and he says something like four people against the tide. It was like Batman had some fucking awesome lines in this show. The actor nailed it. So great stuff there. And that's pretty much my review. This would only take an hour because each episode is like roughly 25 minutes, and they put a lot into 25 minutes. Overall, not a bad show, and I am excited to see season 2. I'm very curious to see what they do with the Joker, what they do with Harley Quinn, if Harley Quinn and the Joker are going to team up. Harley Quinn is very different in this version than the counterpart. She's very much like Batman instead of Joker. So, I mean, it's an interesting switch. I'm curious to see where they're going to take that character. Um, but other than that, some solid stuff. I didn't go over everything because, you guys watched the show. I did give away some spoilers, but this is a little bit lighter. Uh, there's a lot of episodes you just need to see for yourself. But all in all, I had a fun time with it. It was super late to stay up to see, and I am super tired. So, anyways, thank you everybody for joining DC Afternoon. That was my full breakdown, critique, analysis of the new Batman, the Caped Crusader. Very good show that has potential. I would like to see it renewed for season 2 to see where they're going to go with it. I think they're setting up an arc for the next season to be about the Joker. So, hello, Carmen. You actually caught me near the end. Um, but anyways, I think that this show is going to set up for a uh, arc with the Joker for season 2. And I would like to see the Joker be in the background, like have a villains of the week, and then have the big the big like end game be Joker. But I definitely think that was the best hook that they did for the show. And I kind of like that they didn't lead with the Joker. In the original Batman the Animated Series, they didn't introduce Joker, Mark Hamill Joker, until like the third or fourth episode uh, out of 20 episodes. So this one, I like the fact that he is not in this season at all. And it lets the show focus on the lesser known characters, and it doesn't take the focus off to the Batman Joker battle that I'm sure everybody is waiting for. Um, and it's a good hook to get you wanting to see season 2. They did just enough, and it looks like he's going to be a darker, more sadistic Joker than in the animated series. It was quite a horrifying introduction. They also did not reveal the full character design, which I'm very curious about. Uh, but from what I saw, he looked pretty menacing. So it's going to be very intriguing. I want to see what kind of dynamic they're going to use in this iteration. Um, is he going to be antagonistic and have that relationship that he always has with Batman? I have no clue. From right now, the introduction that I got, he's just looking to make some kind of impact. And it gets me excited for the next season. I did not expect them to do that. There was a couple of things in this show that I didn't see coming that I thought were nice little surprises. There were a lot of nods and Easter eggs from different comic books to different iterations of the Batman, different animated takes on it. So I don't feel like this was a disrespectful take. I seen a lot of people saying the same shit. Oh, it's woke, blah blah blah, gender swapped and race swapped. Um, look, like I said, if it destroys the story, then I'm not with it. The changes didn't destroy the story, they were just unnecessary. That's my biggest issue. The swaps in this, they didn't hurt the story, but they in no way made it better. So it's just kind of weird. It's just like somebody at the network said, "Hey, let's you need to have a diverse penguin," so they gender swapped it. I don't understand, and it's one of the changes I hated the most. The penguin bugged the shit out of me. I have no clue why. Um, it was a really odd choice. Um, Minnie Driver was great as the Penguin. I have no issues with her acting or her performance as the character. I think she did a great job. It was very interesting to see a maternal penguin, and you'll see when you see the episode. So I thought they were going with maybe that was Penguin's mom and the actual penguin was the kids, but it just doesn't play out that way. So I don't fucking understand the change whatsoever. Very weird choice. And the storyline just wasn't good in general. It had nothing to do with the character being changed. It's just very fucking weird choice. And worse, it was the first episode, and kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But the second episode quickly redeemed itself. So this is what I mean when you have a villain of the week. If they do a shitty villain, it's really jarring and kind of pulls you out of the story. And that's my main complaint with the show. But I still score it an 8. It's still a decent show. It's still up there. I'll probably still be in my top 5 in my top 10 list. It was entertaining. I had fun. And I think once the story got going, there were a lot of good episodes. There were probably more good episodes than there were poor. So if I was to give you my overall rankings, just to recap, episode 1 is a 6. I did not like it much at all. It wasn't bad because of the things it set up. There's a lot of cool scenes. It's just ruined for me for Penguin. Episode 2 is an 8. Um, the plot twist, I'm not going to tell you, but what they do with Clayface is pretty cool, and I look forward to seeing more of that character. Um, episode 3 is a 9, up there with some of the best episodes across Batman. The new Catwoman is outstanding, very well done, and the voice of Catwoman is Christina Ricci. She does an excellent job. Um, one of my favorite episodes. Um, Night of the Hunters, which has to do with Firefly. That was an interesting episode, so I gave it an 8. Uh, episode 5, which is the Harley Quinn centered episode, I gave a 7. It was okay. Like I said, I don't like Harley Quinn's character design, but I like the costume and the direction that they took her when she's the jester. Um, and I like the character traits of Harley Quinn. Um, but I just don't like how the character looks. It's a very, very weird choice. Doesn't sit right with me. Um, episode 6, Night Raid, I gave a 7 out of 10. They introduce Papa Midnight, which I love anybody connected to Constantine. My issue with this episode is it beats you over the head with racism, and it really doesn't help the story. I guess the theme is the rich take from the poor. It's really weird. And that's what I mean with some of the modern shit they threw in here. Um, doesn't really hurt the story, but doesn't enhance it. Um, they got something to say, but they don't really dive into it because it's a 25-minute episode. So it's like, why? I get it. Racism is bad. People in the 16th century were bad. Wealthy still from the poor. I fucking get it. That's like subtly hinted throughout most of the show, so I don't understand having a whole episode dedicated to it. The thing that saves this episode is Toby Stevens, who plays um, Cormac the Ghost, is actually really good. Really good voice work, and the relationship between Alfred and Batman is better fleshed out. So this episode has a purpose. It was just really annoying with the whole political shit in here. Episode 8, Nocturne, great episode. Um, I rated it an 8 because they uh, they eat kids. Uh, so really cool. Uh, surprising that they have kids being harmed in the show. So very interesting character. Looking forward, based on how they left it, to seeing more of Nocturne. And episodes 9 and 10 are both a 10 out of 10. Fantastic. Fantastic episodes. Really strong ending. Great way to, it felt like the show found its footing. Two Face's arc is amazing. The whole Harvey Dent arc being that they focused on him throughout the whole entire show. And 90% of the show was about showing him slowly becoming corrupted and becoming Two Face was an amazing way to do a straight through line. And I like that the last 2 episodes focused on Thorn, it focused on the police corruption, it focused on the cops being brought, and it focused on Harvey Dent's downfall and becoming Two Face. And I like that they gave 2 parts to the episode and kind of continued the story as the season final. Uh, Very good storytelling, and it's a good thing. Like, you can start off weak. I think most shows do, but your ending has to really hook people to get them to come back. And I think the last 2 episodes fucking nailed it. Great episodes. I like I said, I took notes, and these are my notes for the ending. Like that's all I had. I said much better episode, great character building, good Two-Face. And episode 10, I just put a 10. I have no complaints for the last episode. It was perfect. It was everything that I wanted it to lead up to. Great fights, great story. The music fit great. It was very thrilling. Had no clue what was going to happen from moment to moment. And there's a major character death. So good stuff. Good job to the team. I think the first 2 episodes kind of stumble along. They have a little bit of a difficulty finding their footing, but by episode 3, the show really kicks into gear and does an amazing job. And I'm glad they didn't release this week to week because I think that would have been a mistake because that first episode was not good at all. So in the comments below, let me know what did you think of the Caped Crusader, the new Batman show. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Thank you very much, everybody, for watching this. I appreciate you all, and I will have more to come on DC Afternoons. I won't have a stream Saturday and Sunday. I'm kind of taking off, and I may not have a stream tomorrow. I'll see how I feel. Um, but thank you, everybody, for watching. And hopefully you'll check out Amazon's Season 1 of The Caped Crusader. My overall rating for the whole show is an 8 out of 10. I definitely think it's worth checking out. And after the surprise ending, I really want to see where the show goes. So thank you, everybody, for watching. And as always, remember, there is only one rule here in the Phantom Zone. Kneel before General Zod.